Yeah, so the minute the market's pretty much focused on disposable consumerism. I mean, there's pictures online you can see where like mountains of mobile phones and all laptops end up getting dumped in third world countries. And then you've got all the chemicals running down into the villages. It's really not a very good way to go.
You can see how hemp's definitely, if not the, then one of the super crops that can set all this right, though. But as you say, you've got to create the industry, and by doing that, you need to create the demand.
Exactly. It nutritionates the soil. It also decontaminates groundwater. It's like a miracle plant, really.
Well, tell us some more about that, if you will, Rebecca.
The hemp root taps 3 meters down. So it's really, really taps down. And not only does it tap all the way down, but it brings nutrients from 3 meters down all the way up. You see, after the Ice Age, when the ice receded, it ground up loads of the earth. So our soil was 7 feet deep. Can you imagine? Amazing. From the volcanic, from the receding, ice glaciers. Yeah, the glaciers. It was ground up volcanic rock, basically, and so it was 7 feet deep. So as the agricultural, humans were able to thrive agriculturally because the land. But our topsoil now is only 7 inches deep. So we've lost most of our nutrients in our soil, and crops like soya and other crops are zapping or extracting all the essential minerals and vitamins from this very thin topsoil. And hemp can tap 3 meters deep and also creates a very strong fibrous root ball system, so it's actually really connected to the ground and creates a lot of worm activity and brings in a lot of earth activity. It also then sucks these nutrients that are 3 meters deep up to the surface of the soil, so any follow-on crop after hemp has the opportunity to be a 30% better yield. The only thing hemp needs is nitrogen. It does take a lot of nitrogen from the ground, but you can grow like a clover field before you grow hemp, or you can put nitrogen. Urine or feces actually has loads of nitrogen in human. So the best thing would be that humans shit in a compost toilet. You eventually when you use sawdust and biodegradable paper to wipe yourself, and then put sawdust on top of it, and then until it's filled up, and then you put a lid on it and you leave it for 6 months, and after that it's the best compost ever, human compost. And that's a real symbiotic relationship that we could have with hemp, where we actually could give the nitrogen to the plant, and with that the plant can grow. But it also puts a lot of things in, also because it taps so deep that they are devising hemp that can actually touch landmines and change colour, but it's also a toxic plant. I mean, it can take toxicity out of the land. So if you grow it on brown land, potentially it could take out a lot of the toxins in the soil. Now, I don't know that firsthand. That's just one of the claims, but until I've actually tried it, I don't know. What I do know is that I grew for fibre and I grew for seed, and the fibre crop grew till 15 feet, and I can't tell you, there's nothing like walking through a forest of hemp. It's amazing. You just feel, you can smell the livingness of it. It's amazing. It really is a forest, and it's beautiful, and it smells amazing, and it is an amazing experience. And it's almost like, it's an ancient feeling. It's ancestral almost when you walk through a hemp field. I can't explain it. It really is an amazing experience. But there are people like me and others that when you come to understand about hemp and you read about it, and I don't know, it's almost like it's an obsession. It becomes an obsession. It's like, wow, you found this thing. And I'm one of those people that I'm totally obsessed by hemp. I just love it, but I think that there's worse things to be obsessed about than hemp.
No, it's definitely the way forward, in my opinion. When you grow season's hemp, do you cut it at the end of the year and then replant?
So how it works is that if you grow it in the summer season, it's a photovoltaic plant, so it relies on in the northern hemisphere, it relies on sunlight. In the northern hemisphere, hemp grew prolifically all over the world, and there used to be thousands of species of hemp, and it just depends on what your soil was, where you grew it. If you grew it up in the mountains or down by the coast, if you grew it in arid conditions or acid conditions. So there were thousands of species, and the species that you would grow in England would be different to where you would grow in Norway and different countries because of the sunlight hours. But primarily it's in the northern hemisphere, which is where the days are longer than the nights in the summer. You would grow it at the end of May after the last frost. So the earliest you could probably grow it would be the 15th, but ideally it's around the second 2 weeks of May. I mean, the earliest you would grow is probably about the 4th or the beginning of May, but that's very risky because you could have a late frost in May, and if you have a late frost, it doesn't like cold, so you can kill it. It doesn't like soggy either, so you've got to do it also when the rains have more or less stopped. And then you grow it. Huh?
I was just saying the April showers, so after the April showers in May.
Yeah, after the April showers and the frost, then you would plant it, and then you cut it down in September.
Right.
September, end of October.
So traditionally you leave the root ball in the ground and sort of mulch down.
Yeah, and then it would mulch down, yeah, exactly, and that goes back into the, yeah, exactly, you'd plough it back in.
I think this might be a good idea for a couple of friends of ours called Dom and Mirthful. They're setting up what they call a Freeman Eco Village down in London, which actually is coming this weekend. This weekend's the same as the Conscious Convergence, the 17th and 18th of this month. You'll be starting up this Freeman Eco Village, and I'm thinking it could be useful for them to grow some hemp there.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be allowed.
No?
Because there's a lot of rules to how you can grow hemp, where you can grow it. It can't be grown on near a public footpath. It can't be grown near any public viewings. There's a lot of restrictions to growing hemp with a home office. And if you really wanted to do it, I think you would have to have a lot of political clout behind you. I think it can be done, but certainly it would have to be done with a number of celebrities or other people, kind of. With a bit of political, a couple of hippies.
It would definitely have to have the PR treatment, I think. Otherwise, it would just be slaughtered by the mainstream media.
It would be, yeah. I don't think it's going to happen.
I can hear Jon Snow now railing about the evils of cannabis and confusing the issue.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, and unless it's done, I've got some ideas on how it could be done. I think the Hemp Diva knows what she's doing anyway, and I will see it grown in London. That is definitely an intention of mine, but it would have to be in a very controlled way, basically. So that it would definitely not be marijuana, and there would be no way of it ever being marijuana. And that's really if you can get beyond that barrier, then you can grow hemp. There's no reason why we shouldn't be growing hemp, but it's about persuading the people that hemp isn't marijuana and how you can prove that. So
yeah, well, it's about managing the PR side of it. Unfortunately, in this disgusting world that we live in, it does have to be PR'd, I suppose. Otherwise, as you say, it's too easily shot down, and if people are ignorant of the reality, then they'll fall prey to it. When we really need hemp to be grown right up and down the country, in my opinion, if not across the world. As you say,
across the world.
Like it used to be.
Across the world. Yeah. Across the world. I mean, one of my biggest dreams would be to go to some of these communities that have been devastated by the oil industries. There's fishing communities all along the Nigerian Delta that have had their livelihoods decimated by the oil companies, where oil is still spewing out of pipes that have been broken. There's been no clean up, where these communities have been fishing for hundreds of generations, and now suddenly there's nothing there for them. You bring in hemp, then they can start becoming more start cleaning it up, becoming more sufficient, and not only that, but animals love hemp, so they're drawn to the hemp. So it's it's quite a powerful. It's quite powerful also just to grow just for animal feed even, and so you could grow even if you couldn't grow it for human feed, you could grow it for animal feed because animals really love hemp, and then you could use the stalk for fuel. You could just turn it into pellets and use it for fuel. So you're getting food and fuel from one plant, and this is gonna. It's all around the money. I mean, financially, unfortunately, it really does boil down to investment. If the money's there, you can start investing in looking at things. It's not profitable, so people don't do it. And because at the moment, everything's about profit and 5-year profit. And if you don't get your money back in 5 years, it's not worth investing. And no one's really looking into the future. So, and that's all the old system. This is something new, and it's going to take a while to get the agronomy right, and money's going to have to be spent. I'm not afraid to spend that money, and that's why I do this. So I'm not doing it for the money.
So can you tell us a little bit how many different varieties, what's the current state of the technology with, because I understand it's pretty ubiquitous, it'll grow almost anywhere in one form or another. You've got like Afghan strains and tropical strains and whatnot. So there must be a myriad of different strains that you can buy for different, like seed stock for different terrain and whatnot.
Yeah, and there'll also be the different varieties for the different products that you'd require.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I imagine certain brands are more nutritious seeds, or the other ones are more useful stalks or something.
Yeah, well, you can grow for seed, or you can grow for fibre. You can grow for fibre and seed. So there's different species out for different things. So if you're going primarily for fibre, you would just grow a fibre plant. If you're growing specifically for seed, you would get a seed plant. And if you're going for fibre and seed, which is obviously the most profitable, then you would get that. But the problem is that there's a seed bank in the Ukraine, but a lot of the ancient genetic seeds are dying out because no one's growing them, so they're losing their energy. And also, you say that it could grow everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of things around hemp, but you have to it takes 3 generations for a plant to acclimatise to its conditions. So you're going to have to test it out, because all the knowledge has been gone and suppressed. Unless something happens and we can dig out some of the old knowledge about hemp and hemp growing, we're basically going to have to reinvent the wheel. And
find out what's left of the old gene stock, I suppose.
And find out what's left of the old gene stock. But that's a £2 million project. Cool. We've already looked into it. To be able to go in and look at the seeds, and then also to, because money gives you the political clout to do it, unfortunately.
Well, you've got to make
so it all boils down to that shit, doesn't it?
Well, at the moment it does, I suppose, yeah. It's one of those things where if they can't see a book in it, not only will they not support it, but they'll make sure it doesn't happen just in case.
Well, the problem is, the people sat at the top of these mountains of gold, as you put it, when they're prepared to see the planet and everything on it die in the pursuit of profits. It's insane, really.
It's insane.
And human beings have it's just all these old ways have left our collective consciousness. Even the shamanism, that was a traditional practice before it became taboo.
Yeah, well, what we've done is that we've just totally lost our connection with nature by being bamboozled by this thing that we call time. And it really is this whole concept of linear time and having a beginning, middle and end, and the survival of the fittest, and all these very linear, male-dominated thought forms that miss the whole cyclical, mythical cycles of the planet, the ups and the downs, the yin and the yang, the 13 moon cycle. We're out of touch, and that's the biggest challenge, is to get people back in touch.
Yeah, I wonder. You said there's a lack of investment. What sort of investigation or inventions being backed about creating the sort of equivalent of the cotton ginny, I suppose? There must be ways that small communities can process their own fibres. Has anybody come up with a small version of a cotton mill yet?
Well, in 2006, a couple of people had said that they had prototypes, but nothing's reached the marketplace. So, not that I know of, until it reaches the marketplace.
I'll maybe get the Meccano out and see what I can knock up over this weekend. But now I'm intrigued by that side of it, so
Scrapyard challenge.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
If you do, let me know. I might be interested in buying it.
Well, I tell you what, if I can think of some way of doing it, I'll keep in touch after this, and you can tell me the technology behind it. And if I can think of some way of doing it, you can have it for free. I'll put my oath on that. I'll just give it to the world.